Welcome to the Agentic AI for Enterprise 1B. In this video presentation, we will be covering the generative AI. So key components of generative AI. Generative AI generates a new original content rather than analyzing the existing data, which happens in case of a search. So what it generates is text, images, art, stories, music, audio, videos. It can also generate code and many more things. Generative AI combines deep learning, which it learns from massive amounts of data and using high compute power. The generative AI model, if we see, it comprises of input data, which is in the form of prompt or contextual input, or it has neural network, which is the main brain of the generative AI. And then there is a latent storage where the generative AI model is trained, and later storage keeps that data of whatever training is done for the model. The data is kept in the latent storage in such a form that information is stored in a contextual groups and patterns in a structured way, so that the data which is stored can be easily retrieved whenever there is a query or requirement to generate new data based upon the prompt of the user. So generative AI architecture has two types of neural networks. The part of the brain is basically a neural network where there is a generator and a discriminator. Generator creates the data from the real world input, whereas the discriminator checks whether this data created by the neural network is matching or nearby to the real world data. So there is an iteration which is happening, and it's able to create a data which is as near to the real world context as possible. So the discriminator cannot distinguish whether data generated is real or it's artificially generated data. So then there are encoders in the architecture of neural network, which are able to basically encode training data of different types and different structures, and it stores that training data in lateral storage by encoding. And then there's a decoder where it can decode the data very quickly from the latent space. Then the third part of the architecture of generative AI is transformers. Transformers are based on the type of data which the generative AI model is creating. If it's creating a text data, there's a text transformer like GPT, generative pre-trained transformer, which is for textual data. For images, there's another kind of transformer which can create a real life-like image by using artificial intelligence and training data. And it has a disk. There is a part of the architecture where it creates the noise of that image, and gradually the noise is reduced till the image matches the real image. So this iteration process happens very fast within the computer. So as we have seen, the neural network using the training data which is stored in lateral storage and based upon user prompt and the context of the user input, it generates a new text which is as per the user preferences. The parts of the generative AI model are user prompt, the text input, brains, and the generated response, and a later storage. The generated response is generated with lots of iterations till the output matches the desired requirement. So neural network is based on GA and VAE and transformer. Output generation has a feedback loop for refinement. And then there's a latent space which has encoders, VAE encoders, which can store the data in such a way that it can be quickly retrieved and it has structured information and stored based on the patterns. Computation resources are very important for artificial intelligence model because the model is trained on massive amount of data, which could be images, which could be videos, which could be text, which could be code. And this massive amount of training and iterations, they require GPUs and TPUs of processing power, gigabit and trillion bits of processing power. The training and fine-tuning in the learning process is very, very important for data to be really accurate and for AI model to be efficient. So pre-training on a large data for the foundation model is a prerequisite. The fine-tuning of that model can be done based upon specific tasks and domains. Suppose domain is healthcare, the data will be more tuned towards the healthcare domain and specific task of that requirement. So while training the data, training that model, one has to keep in mind what for that model will be working. For example, Apple has come out with a visual language models, which are for fast VLM, a real-time vision application, which require a lot of accuracy and efficiency. Once your application is creating a video or an image from the camera, it can immediately analyze what text is there on as part of that image or what other objects are there as part of that image. So based on the trained data, it can quickly tell about the objects, the emotions, the text instantly. In case of Perplexity search engine, where a user gives the prompt and he gets very fast answers based on user's prompt and the context of that prompt. And not only answers, user gets lots of follow-up questions which user may have. And based on user preferences, one can go deeper and deeper to get more meaningful results. So reinforcement learning from human feedback improves the alignment of the AI model with the human intent. So prompt engineering and interfaces can be manual prompt engineering where user can type in the prompt or through an audio user can ask a question to the AI model. Or user can use an app and through that app, user has that, user gives the requirement to the application and application gets the answer from the generative AI model. So there are possibilities of expanding the generative AI model into various interfaces using an app, using a software development kit, or through the direct audio text inputs given by the user. So with the expansion of the generative model with lots of API and software development kits, the possibilities have become very large. There are also ethical considerations and challenges while implementing generative AI. A lot of misinformation and deep fakes are possible. There are a lot of issues regarding copyright and ownership of the data. Legal cases are also going on. But very important is that models which are not trained properly may be having bias. So giving biased data is a one major problem. The biased data can cause hallucinations and user loses faith in the generative AI. One of the issues which recently came where Meta's chatbot was having sensitive conversation with the users and teens, and they were giving them certain data which they shouldn't have got. So they have now implemented safeguards on that. There are also issues regarding job displacement and energy consumption because of high megaflops of processing power required by artificial intelligence. Now, large language model is a subset of the generative AI. Large language model is mainly the generative AI model which is trained on massive text data, and it generates human-like text. The text could be a story or it could be a research output based for user requirement. Examples of LLMs are GPT, Llama. Llama is from Meta, Claude, which is for Anthropics for creating the code, and Google has their large language model based on Gemini. Retriever augmented generation. RAG is another concept and technology which has enhanced the scope of generative AI. Using RAG, we are able to give up-to-date enterprise-specific and verifiable facts to the generative AI lateral storage. Generative AI lateral storage is containing the training data, but if that training data could be old and stagnant, though generative AI is creating real data based on the patterns and structures, but if it has access to the RAG storage is a vector database where the information is stored, which is more specific to the enterprise, and it has verifiable facts so that what the output is coming from generative AI, it can avoid the hallucinations. Application of generative AI are in the area of art, design, gaming, and virtual worlds, where virtual worlds can be created using AI. Architects can create even building plans and city plans, whereas designers can create their textures and fashion design, contents, whereas business presenters can create their storylines. So content creation is one of the major application where lots of efficiency can be increased through the content created by AI. AI can also be used to generate synthetic data, which can mimic the real world data to train other AI systems. Product design and engineering is another application of artificial intelligence where one can optimize the existing designs for performance improvement or design new products and discover new materials. Healthcare and drug discovery is another big area where artificial intelligence is being used. Using AI, you can create new protein structures, identify potential drug candidates, even create cancer vaccine, or restart hearing by repairing a faulty gene. So this kind of applications are being worked out. The future of generative AI is vast. It's rapidly evolving. More sophisticated and realistic apps are being created, which it's a process of continuous improvement for getting higher quality and more controllable outputs from the AI. Personalization can happen at a large scale. AI-generated content tailored to individual preferences and needs across various domains can easily be incorporated. Perplexity is one of the examples of that. New creative tools where AI is increasingly creating and empowering human creativity rather than replacing it. So creative people are able to quickly create new designs, new presentations, or new research reports very quickly. There is a potential to revolutionize industries using agentic AI. Agentic AI can solve lots of complex problems and lots of innovation can be quickly innovated using generative AI. Thank you so much. So we conclude generative AI represents a monumental leap in artificial intelligence, which goes beyond analysis to active creation. LLM is a text-based generator, which is a subset of generative AI. RAG augments the training data with verifiable factual information, while challenges and ethical considerations must be addressed. But to revolutionize industries, unlock new forms of creativity, and solve complex problems, the artificial intelligence has a tremendous potential. So next session, we deep dive into ChatGPT versus AI agent. So AI agent forms the foundation of the agentic AI for enterprise, which will be taking up as part of the further modules in this video course. Thank you.